Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? Please let me know if you could hear me. The usual sound check things. I should use the audio monitoring, but it just feels weird anytime I try hearing myself twice. So let me know if you're in the chat. Say hi, say hello. Yeah, right, Lenny. I'm also excited about this because people ask me with how to get started learning Vue, so I'm just gonna assume the role of just a beginner to like the Vue stuff and see how the interactive learning the approach, and I'll explain it. It's also going to be a little bit biased because of course I have some Vue experience, but I think we can leverage on that for me to explain it more better to anyone that want to learn, and I could just direct people to the stream if they want to learn so that they could just pick it up. How you doing? So as usual, let's do the things that we normally do. Um, I have Basecamp open up. So the first thing is your task. You all know we do these things together. So I'm gonna give it a tweet to go. Let's go tweet. Hi, Joyce. Nice of you to join us. I think this should be your first time on the stream. Really glad to have you here. And also, this calls for confetti. We are finally monetized on YouTube. I don't even know what that means currently because the account is fairly small, but I am really, really appreciative of everyone that has subscribed to the channel. It really means a lot to me. So you all are amazing, and all of you watch the videos to make us get to like the 4,000 watch hours. You all are amazing. Yeah, you're all amazing. I can only hope to keep giving you all value and all that. So please, you all go retweet that tweet I just shared in the comments. Also, make a comment on it. Oh, Connexology, I did that. You're welcome. It's your first time. Great, welcome. Appreciate you all for coming. So yeah, first task of the day: go retweet and comment. Leave a comment, which really share, so that you get more friends in here. And that is it. So you could see my task for today is really just two, mostly because the second one is going to take a great amount of time, and we try to keep this as an hour. So let's see if I could finish the interactive Vue tutorial today and see how that goes. But first, you all know I launched Wish 0.0.7. I shouldn't be here, but let me show you. So if you read the blog article, so for those who don't know, Wish is a package I wrote to make OAuth like login with Google, login with GitHub, pretty easy in a sales application. I've been using it for like a year now with salesguys.com. It's really good. So if you check the GitHub, there's like to do for Google Auth, and the reason why I didn't get to it up until this point was because I never had a use for it and no one requested it. So I tried to work on the code that I need today. So I just deferred to figuring how to do Google OAuth when we need it. All right. So now we have with 0.0.7 confetti again, and I'm really happy because of the ease. And most times people want to do things like this. They use some like service like Firebase. Not that anything's wrong with that, but sometimes like I just like keeping everything so simple, so I don't need like a third party provider. So all I had to do was do some research, watch a couple of videos, and also like read the Google OAuth flow, and I implemented it. Who wants to see the code for how this works? So you can read the blog post. So we need it for the Melo template because there's a login with Google in Melo. So I also worked on the user model for Melo templates yesterday. So you could always check the branch on GitHub. So let me show you how I implemented this wish at a high level. Okay, very high level here. And I also got to play with. I made a tweet about using JS docs for types and how it works with TypeScript. I got to play with it a little bit. I kind of like it. I'll show you all that as we go. So sales have something called a hook. So a sales hook is like you extending sales with some functionality. So what the sales hook does is provide sales.wish um, objects, which lets you which is the API for you to do this stuff with Wish. And so this is your definition, and So you could see here, right? So I just want to talk about this a little because it's really exciting. I did not have to change. Look at my file extension .js. I love .js. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm having JSDoc annotation. And you can see I can specify a type. What's this provider? So the thing with JSDoc and how they interrupt with TypeScript, I could define types, with a type def. So here I'm defining type that the supported providers is GitHub and Google. Really fun, huh? So that means if I put in anything here, it's going to complain. If you check out the problem, say type GitHub is not assignable to type provider. Did you mean GitHub? Ooh, I like that intelligence. So really good. So like I said in my tweet, I like types. I don't like TypeScript. So if I could find a way to work without it, my life will be easy. So this has really worked so far. Let me see if you have some comments about that. Okay, good. So this is really good, and even with the wish config, you could see the same definition. So here I'm defining like an object config, and you could see for each key is a wish provider. So the signature for a wish provider is also defined here. All the provider must have scope separator, the scopes, the token URL, and the user URL. We'll see what that is in a bit. So this is just me talking about type things. And what that does is when I define wish here, if you make a mistake, so all those typo mistakes you can make with this setting, you no longer have it anymore. And if you put in a type that is not needed, like that's not expected, you're going to see the type string is not assigned to type array. So this is expecting an array of string, but you're giving it a string. So it's just very, very much cool. And I like that feedback. Okay, so this is the definition. So the way sales hook works, if you see in this defaults, you see a top level object called like anything you give it. So this means in your sales application, you can have in your config wish.js that will module.exports just an object. So what we're expecting is these are the defaults. So you don't need to specify this. You can override this if you want, but by default, this should just work out of the box. So you can override it if you have specific use cases. One good override I think you would need is if you want a different scope. So maybe you're only interested in the user email. You could just give scope of an array, then just pass it on to this one. But let's just zoom into how the Google one works. I won't talk about the GitHub because that's been old. And so for Google, the scope separator is a space, unlike GitHub that requires a comma. So these are the scopes that you normally need. So just give a user profile, which is like the name, the first name, last name, which Google called given name and family name, which was really cool to find out. And the token URL, or this is the URL to get like the OAuth2 token. By the way, which only supports OAuth2, which is the recent standard. I did not see any reason to support the former. Then the user URL is where you visit to get the user info. All right. So here I do sales.wish equals to this, so that I can easily access it later on. This is how you initialize. Like this place is going to be called first. Then I define some function on the hook itself. So the provider is a this is a chainable. Like if you've been in the Salescast community, we discussed this before, how you could chain. So this is one use case for it. Where so here I'm saying if you give a value that is not in this provider's array, which we've already specified at before now with this one, which we already specified here, we're going to throw an error. Okay, so this is like a developer error, so they should see that you're specifying this, but these are not the supported providers. These ones are. All right, then we just do provider value this. Then the redirect, here I had to use switch. It's been a while I use switch, but this one is actually cool because every provider have their flow. So if we are going to support like GitLab, again, we just have to have a case of GitLab. So here, the way wish work, it lets you specify the, so this one is just the config.js, like this default we already set. So here we just join it with whatever scope separator that the provider wants. And here we are just getting the, so let me go to Google, sorry. So the Google redirect URL, so we're just getting it from what you will provide in your local.js or your custom.js. So this one you have to provide it, but this is the same URL that you have given to Google Console, that once everything is good, this is where you redirect to. So the Google Client ID, of course, you get it from your console as well. So these are the query parameters that Google needs, which is the redirect URL, the Google Client ID, Access type should be offline. Response type, we want a code back. Prompt consent, which is allow, that kind of stuff. Then the scope, we're also doing the join. Here we just use new URL search params to like sanitize the query params, escape things that need to be escaped and all that jazz. And this is the URL we give to the user for them to redirect to. At the end of the day, we just return a redirect URL. You can see I'm also using JSDoc for this type. So this expects also to return a string. If we don't return a string, it's going to complain and all that jazz. So it's going to tell you a function whose declared type is neither undefined, void, or anything else must return a value, blah, blah, blah. Get it? Are you with me so far? Let me see if I have any questions. Okay, good. Then user from token, this bit is normally not called userland. I use this one internally. Okay, so what this is once you redirect to like Google, for example, they're going to give you a code. That code, we're going to use it to get an access token and an ID token. For Google, you need both the access token and ID token. For GitHub, just the access token. So this one, I call it internally. Like it's not exposed to user. Like you will not need to call it. The only thing you need to do is to call sales.wish.provider, put in Google, then like .user, then pass in the code that was sent back from that overflow, and you get your stuff going. So this is normally internally. And I wrote this little fetch. So this fetch helper in sales is an installable hook. So you can install it by sales-hook.node fetch. So it gives you access to the node fetch package like this. So this is a pair dependency for Wish. But if you're using the Boring JavaScript stack, this already comes with the Melo template. So you don't have to install anything, but you get the idea. So here I'm just doing a simple URL. So we have a user URL before now, right? Which will specify all the way over here, this one, right? And that's what we're going to use. So like we make a GET request to that endpoint using the access token being provided when we get the user from token. Okay. So this is the Google one. It's just the same thing, but for Google we use bearer token. So they're using like a JWT. So that's why they have both ID token and the access token, which you have to specify both. And of course we are throwing the error. Yeah, we threw the error. I wonder why I have two throw errors here. Do we need that? That's weird. Let me see. I'm not sure we needed that. Let's see, try crucial break. Yes, we did not need that. That's like was an oversight. So I'm going to make a push to fix that. So let me just save this. Fix, remove, extract, try, cache, block. Okay, so that will take that. Good. So I'm actually throwing it here because you can catch it in the userland code. So I just throw here. This one is the one that's been exposed to you all. So if you look at the Google one, like the Google case, you can see it needs code, which will come after you've redirected to like Google to get the code. Then you could also pass in the client ID, the client secret, which will be in your env or your local.js. Then this one is where to redirect to, which you specified in your sales environment and also in Google. Then the grant type is authorization code. Then we just construct a sanitized query string, and here we do the things. Okay, so we just do like a try because we're making a network code that might fail. You could see the content type that Google needs, which is SWW.from URL encoded, and it returns back it brings like this underscore case. So I just alias them to JavaScript cases so that I can set them as is. And then I will get the user with user from token, which is the access token and ID token. After getting the user, I will just add because the user doesn't have this access token and ID token. For some reason, you might need it in userland code, so I just have to add that for you. So yeah, that's it. That's the implementation, really. Easy, right? Hello, Paul. Welcome. Okay, I had to use my laptop with a different account to watch. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for coming. So I hope this is really enjoyable for you all. Implementation. You don't have to use Firebase if you're using Sales or the Debug JavaScript stack for like OAuth2. We support GitHub and Google. In the future, if we need like GitLab or any other provider, we're just going to add it as a case and just support it. It's really, really good. I love the API, the way it works. And if we check GitHub, for example, and we go to Wish, so the docs will be updated when we move to Astro. But here you just see a very simple implementation, right? Where you have a auth/redirect, which will be this sales action with just this one line, right? Really, really sweet. And then the callback, which you will also provide as your redirect URI. So once you do that, it's going to call back to this endpoint. And here we just, do our business logic, which you could get the Google user, await sales.which or provider Google user.code. That's literally it. And then you store the session and your user is authenticated. Magic. Mm-hmm. So, any questions? Yeah, and you all can go start the Wish project. I didn't really talk about it some more before now, but you all can just, we have 6 people in here. Let's give it some love. Start the Wish project. Thank you. So, with that aside, we've talked about Wish 0.0.7. Now let's talk about taking the interactive view tutorial. Okay. And while I'm doing that, you all could go join the SDwK community if you're not already there. I see most of you are already there, so I think that should be good. Also subscribe and follow on YouTube and Twitch, and of course start debugging JavaScript stack. It's very important you do give it a star because that project is really turning out to be something really exciting. So with that business out of the way, let's take the interactive view tutorial. So this is in the view docs. I'm going to also give you the URL as well. So if you go to tutorials and copy it, you might actually want to follow along. That's also fine. So this is like the very first one. So we're going to take it as newbies. I'm a newbie, so I'm going to take it. And speaking about that, really, I wrote, and if you see my video, the YouTube video I did, yesterday on mentor not required, I wrote an article on it too, which you all could go check out and let me know what you think, right? And also, by the way, once I shoot the video for today, that will be the 100th video I have recorded to YouTube, which is just amazing. I can't even believe we're at 100 yet. Yeah, you all go read that article and let me know what you think. So let's see the view tutorial. So a couple of things. Look at these options. So there are 2 APIs in Vue. The options API, which is not really old, but it's an option. Not pun not intended, but you get the idea. So you could use the composition API, the options API. It's recommended to use the composition API. It's just easy. Okay, both are easy, but the composition API is much more newer, and we're going to be using that. And also you could choose to be in an HTML file, which is index.html, or like it's Vue single file component. You normally be in a Vue single file components. So this one I'm going to be. So there are 15 of this stuff. Can we do it? Let's see. Let's see if we can finish it. Okay. So Lenny is set. So welcome to the Vue tutorial. The goal of this tutorial is to quickly give you an experience of what it feels like to work with Vue right in the browser. It does not aim to be comprehensive, and you don't need to understand everything before moving on. However, after you complete it, make sure to also read the guide, which covers each topic in more details. Prerequisites: the tutorial assumes basic familiarity with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Of course, if you're totally new to front-end development, it might not be the best idea to jump right into a framework as a first step. You know what? Any framework that is honest enough to tell me this, they have me. You got me. I'm owned. Okay? So it might not be the best idea to jump right into a framework as your first step. Grasp the basics, then come back. Prior experience with other frameworks help, but it's not required. How to use this tutorial: you can edit the code on the right and see the results update instantly. Each step will introduce a core feature of Vue, and you'll be expected to complete the code to get the demo working. If you get stuck, you will have a show me button that reveals the working code for you. Try not to rely on it too much. You'll learn faster by figuring things out on your own. Isn't this just my message from yesterday? Huh, interesting. If you're an experienced developer coming from Vue 2 or other frameworks, there are a few settings you can tweak to make the best use of this tutorial. If you're a beginner, it's recommended to go with the defaults. Yes. So let's go. Let's do this. Oh yeah. So next. Declarative rendering. When you see what you see in the editor is a Vue single file component SFC, and SFC is a reusable self-contained block of code that encapsulates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that belong together. Perfect. Written inside a .vue file. So that's what this really is, right? Your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript goes in one file that belongs together, which just makes it, that co-location makes a great deal of sense to me. The core feature of Vue is declarative rendering. Using a template syntax that extends HTML, we can describe how the HTML should look like based on JavaScript state. When the state changes, the HTML updates automatically. State that can trigger updates when changed are considered reactive. Do you get that? That's your definition for reactive. A state that can trigger updates when changed. So if you know that you want your UI to change, when you change like a variable, you need a reactive variable. Make sense, right? We can declare reactive state using Vue's reactive API. Objects created from reactive are JavaScript proxies. If you don't know what JavaScript proxies are, you could go check them out. I actually haven't dabbled more on proxies, but it's what Vue really. So I like that Vue is using a JavaScript concept to work on the states and the reactive. So you could go check that out. Just Google MDN proxies, you'll see it. So proxies works just like normal objects. So this is what we have. Imports reactive from Vue, then you have a counter, you give it an object. So everything inside here is now reactive properties. Reactive only works on objects, including arrays and built-in types like map and set. Ref, on the other hand, can take any value type and create an object that exposes the inner value under a dot value property. So reactive works on objects, right? So if you have like you just maybe in your component, you want like a couple of states in there as properties, you could use reactive to wrap them all. But if you want to like maybe make a string reactive, you could use ref. Okay. So import ref from Vue, then you see this, okay, like just what I said, like a string. So Vue is going to expose the actual string with dot value so that I can keep track of the reactivity. So you could find more details on reactive and ref on the guide reactive fundamentals. Reactive state declared in the component script setup block can be used directly in the template. This is how we can render dynamic text based on the value of the counter object and message ref using Mustache's syntax. I love the syntax a great deal for some reason. Notice how we do not need to use dot value. So in your template, you don't have to use dot value because Vue is going to unwrap it for you. The content inside the mustaches is not limited to just identifiers or paths. We can use any valid JavaScript expression. Superb. Now try to create some reactive state yourself and use it to render dynamic text content for the H1 in the template. Okay, I like it. So let's say, so what do we do here? So we could do const heading ref I love Vue so much. And here we could just change this with the mustache symbol and say heading. Ooh. And you could see if we change this, it updates because of course it is reactive. You can test that theory out by just, doing this. You could see I love you so much. And I think Vue is also going to update it for you because we are in the playground. It's just going to change it for you. But for that reactive state, you need the ref and the unwrapping of it all. Are you with me so far? Let me see. Who is working? Yeah. Thank you, Lenny. Yeah, the 100 video. I haven't recorded it yet. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to record today though, but I really have to do one video a day. So, Mr. Hero, welcome. You're not late. You just catch us doing some Vue things. This is the first tutorial out of 14. So we got a long way to go. So we've done that. So let me know if you all have typed your things. And we could also do, let's do dot join. No. replace, I think we could do replace all, right? Then replace the spaces with, I don't know, this. Yeah, you see? So view also takes in JavaScript expressions, right? But of course, there's no need for us to do that. So we're just going to revert to this. Okay, sorry, me bad. Good. Okay, so you could show me. I don't need to do that because I have done the things. So let's go to the next one. Attribute binding. I love this one. All right, good. Let's go. So attribute bindings. In Vue, mustaches are also used for text interpolation. To bind an attribute to a dynamic value, we use the, okay, sorry. In Vue, mustaches are only used for text interpolation. So it's only for text interpolation, use the mustache, the double curly braces. So to bind an attribute to a dynamic value, we use the vbind directive, which is v-bind colon whatever the attribute is, right? A directive is a special attribute that starts with the v prefix. They are part of Vue's template syntax. Similar to text interpolations, directive values are JavaScript expressions that have access to the component state. The full details of v-bind and directive syntax are discussed in the guide, which you could go and read. The part after the colon ID is the argument of the directive. So the directive, this vbind takes in an argument, which you denote by colon, then the argument. Savvy? So here, the elements ID attribute will be synced with the dynamic ID property from the component state. Because v-bind is used so frequently, it has a dedicated shorthand syntax. I'm not going to lie to you, I've never typed v-bind for a very long while because of this very short syntax. So come on, who wouldn't use the short syntax when it exists? So I use it most of the time. So now try to add a dynamic class binding to the H1 using title class ref as its value. If it's bound correctly, the text should turn red. Oh. Okay, so that's what's going on. So we have a title class in CSS, and we are defining a reactive value called title class that takes in the string title. So what we would do here is to bind class, right? Okay, let's use the long form first. So we could do bind, then class, then we give it title class. Oh, you see that? Magic. So let me know if it's working for you. Don't you dare click on show me. Is it working? Class? Oh, good. So let me know if it's working. Lenny, did it change to red for you? Good. So I'm going to use the short form. I never typed this because, of course, use the short form if it exists. And you could see it's still the same thing. And if you want to prove that, we could just change this bad boy to blue. And this works so good. I like it. So isn't Vue amazing? So you've learned how to interpolate dynamic text to your UI. Now you've learned attributes binding. Amazing stuff. Let us proceed. Yes. Good. So next. So event listeners, this one is actually cool, right? Because now you can bind dynamic attributes. You could display dynamic tests. What next? You have to click and handle interactions, okay? So event listeners, we can listen to DOM events using the v-on directives, which is v-on, to give it the argument. For this case, one click. Then what's the handler? You should also give it there. Due to its frequent use, v-on also has a shorthand at click. I love at click. Here, increment is referencing a function declared in script setup, which is this bad boy. So all it's doing is just incrementing the value by 1. Typical counter. So inside the function, we can update the component state by mutating refs. Event handlers can also use inline expressions and can simplify common tasks with modifiers. These details are covered in go with the guide event handling. Now try to implement the increment function yourself and bind it to the button using v-on. Don't you dare click show me. Let's do this. Okay, let's do the work. So we want that when we click on this bad boy, it updates this other bad boy. So let's say function increment, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do count dot value. Since we're inside script setup, we need to use dot value. And now we could bind this bad boy. First of all, I'm going to use the long form. Click. I never use this long form, but it's simple. Instead, we do increment, and now we click on this bad boy. It works. Oh yeah. Isn't that good? Did you all get it? Ah, Lenny, I see what you did there. Right. Wow. Lenny again. But cool. So that's just it, right? So let's use the shorthand. This is the one I use in the code I ship. It's always at click because it's shorter, but at click like so, right? So you see this bad boy still updating. And to prove that stuff, but of course we are good JavaScript people. Oh, why don't we increment by 3? Why not? Increment 10 by 3. I love it. Anyways, you get the idea. You get the jam. So let's just revert it back and we get that. So let's go to the next one. Form bindings. Ooh. Using vbind and von together, we can create two-way bindings on form input elements. So this is how. So if you like want to change the value in a text box and you want to also update your state in JavaScript and vice versa, you could use the value and input combo. But we don't do that in Vue. We have class, okay, high class. So for that, try typing in the input box. You should see the text in P. So let's do the first boring one, okay? This one that you already do. So if you type it, you could see P is also updating. This is two-way binding thingy going on. All right. So to simplify two-way bindings, Vue provides a directive v-model. Like I said, we have class, okay? We are civilized JavaScript developers. We don't have to use to as inputs and bind values. We have v-model for that stuff, which is essentially a syntax sugar for the above. So v-model automatically syncs the input value with the bound state, so we no longer need to use an event handler for that. Thank you. V-model works not only on text inputs but also on other input types such as checkboxes, radio buttons, and select drop-downs. We'll cover more details in guide form by this. Now try to refactor the code to use v-model. Alrighty then, let's do this bad boy. So all we gotta do, wait a minute. So that means I don't need this bad boy either, right? First of all, I have broken the word, which is good. So now all I gotta do is do v-model, not model. I could just give it a text. And now the word is not broken again. See, we did not even need an event handler because v-model will synchronize the state. That is two-way binding. That is just magic. I like it. Yeah, it's really fun. Like, who wouldn't like building UIs like this? You see what I'm telling you all? You just build and ship your stuff. Easy syntax. So conditional rendering, yes, all the declarative and conditional rendering. So let's say we can use the v-if directive to conditionally render an element. So you can see h1 v-if awesome, Vue is awesome. Of course, Vue is awesome. What the? This h1 will be rendered only if the value of awesome is truthy. You know, truthy and falsy values. So if awesome changes to a falsy value, it will be removed from the DOM. We can also use velse and velse if to denote other branches of the condition. You see, just like your if block, your else if block, and your else block, that kind of thingy. You could do that there. So currently the demo is showing both H1s at the same time and the button does nothing. Try to add vif and velse directives to them and implement the toggle method so that we can use the button to toggle between them. Interesting. So how do we do that? So let's say, so what we want to do is that when we click here, we toggle between Vue is awesome and Vue is not. And oh no. Okay, so what we can do, we could do awesome dot value is given the value of awesome. So we just inverse the thingy. All right. And now we could do v if awesome or v else. So if we click on it, oh my god, isn't that lovely? You get the idea, right? Yes, I don't know. I'm excited about views. I don't even know the accent I'm speaking right now, but you get the idea. So that says, right? So you can see how easy that was. This is just a simple logic. So for anytime we click, we're just going to negate the value. So if it's true the first time, when we click it again, it's going to be false. You get the idea. So simple, sweet UI stuff. So list rendering. So we're in 7. Oh, we're kicking the pace. We're almost there. So we can use the v-for directive to render a list of elements based on a source array. Okay, this is good stuff. So just v-for the to do. So the individual item comes first, then in the collection. They always give it a key. Then the key will be like the to do ID. Then you just interpolate the text, which is good stuff. Here, to do is a local variable representing the array element currently being iterated on. It's only accessible on or inside the v-for element. So you can access to do on the v-for element or inside it. Okay, so you don't mess that up. Notice how we are also giving each to do object a unique ID and binding it as a special key attribute for each li. The key allows Vue to accurately move each li to match the position of its corresponding object in the array. Mostly that is used for animation stuff, or just adding or taking out item from the DOM. So Vue tracks that with the ID. There are 2 ways to update the list. Call mutating methods on the source array. So you could do to do the value.push, new to do, replace the array with a new one. So you could just give it a new array altogether. Here we have a simple to-do list. Try to implement the logic for add to do and remove to do methods to make it work. Are you all ready for that? Let me see what you're commenting. Okay, good. So now if we try to put learn things, nothing works, right? Because we don't have so what we're going to do now is we're going to do new to do. We could do to do dot value dot push new to do. Right? That should do it. Learning things. Okay. So let's see. To do the value dot push new to do add to do. Did we add to do click to do? Wait, let's see. Let's interpolate this bad boy. New to do. Okay. If we add it, we have the text. Oh, I see what's happening here. Okay, so what we can do is to, we do the text, new to do. I think this is the data structure it needs. Then the ID plus 1 probably should. Wait, let me see. Okay. So let's pass it in like this. Let me see if that bad boy works. So this is the way we pass it in, and we clear that bad boy. So they just do this to text. That's weird. Is this broken? What am I doing wrong here, chat? Okay. So let me see the question. Hey, Kelvin, can v-for and v be used together? I don't see why not. So let's say you want to, so if, like, for example, right, like this, let's see, let's try that, right? So if, let's say v if true, so I'm just passing it true here for like example, right? So v if true is going to show this, if v if is false, it's not going to show it, right? So you can definitely use them together. So for some reason, I am messing up with the logic. So how do we implement this to do again, right? So let's see. Value dot hold up. To do's ref. So we were told that we can push a new to do. And when I push, I have this, but my text is not showing up. Why? Oh, I see what's happening here. Remember, we are in the script setup. So we have to use dot value if you're in the script setup to access the actual value, because when we do new to do, it's a reactive proxy. All right. So what I mean now is that when I do this now, this one should work. Okay. And maybe we should, not let us save if we don't have anything, but you get the idea. You could, and so we can't delete right now. So, but that really solves the issue. And I want to see. So, how do we implement remove to do? So we can do to do dot value equals to do's dot value dot filter. Then this taking a to do. Then we're gonna say if okay, no, we're already passing it to do. What do we call this? Oh my god. Okay, so to do, so remove. I'm just gonna change this. Yeah, so if the to do dot id it's not equal to do dot remove dot id. This is just my own filter thing is. So when we click on it, you see it works. So now we don't have this item. Okay, so that's just my implementation of it all. So I'm just trying to follow like the instruction. I know you're what is it splice or whatever you want to do or pop, you could do that, all right? But for this to be reactive, you can either call a mutating method like push or replace the array with a new one. So we are literally replacing this array with a new one. So I can put learn HTML. And notice if I even hit enter, it worked because if you look at the form, we have at submit. So at submit would also take in you clicking this submit this button, which is inside the form, or you just hitting enter. So both works. All right. Yes. 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 Let me see. Yes, Lenny. Got it. I said I really need to find a way to bring you all up here so I could see. I don't know how they do it. You all just let me know how to do it. So I could bring the chat up somewhere on the maybe like a green scale or something. So the chat keeps coming up and I keep seeing it on screen. So it makes it easy not to switch. So I could have gotten the help from Lenny a long time ago. Okay. So that's it. So next one, we are 8. So keep going. Computer property. Oh. So viewers really, so this code is making this look a little bit more sexy. I like it. So computer property, let's keep building on top of the to-do list from the last step. Here we've already added a toggle functionality to each to-do. This is done by adding a done property to each to-do object and using v-model to bind it to a checkbox. Okay. So we have this going on. So the next improvement we can add is to be able to hide already completed to-dos. We already have a button that toggles the hide completed state, but how do we render different list items based on that state? Introducing computed. We can create a computed ref that computes its dot value based on other reactive data sources. So I really like this one a lot where you have a reactive state. For right now, let's say we have books, like you have an array of books, then you could compute array of books you've read. So you could just get a derived sub-state, so to speak, based on a like another state, which is just amazing. So we use computed for that. So hide completed ref for false to filter to do. So you use your logic to do that. Okay. So v4 to do in filtered, a computed property tracks other reactive states used in its computation as dependencies. It caches the result. So I really like computed property because it caches it. So if nothing changes, it's not going to like try to compute it again. It's just going to use the old value. We just save the extra work that needs to be done, which is superb. So it caches the result and automatically updates it when its dependency changes. Now try to add a filter to this computed property and implement its computation logic. If implemented correctly, checking off a to-do when hiding completed items should instantly hide it. Okay, so let's see. So if we show all, okay. So what happens is that if you click on hide completed, we should not see completed to-dos anymore. So let's see what we have here. Let me see what you all are saying because I can see it. Okay, good. You want to say anything? That's good. So let's see. We'll move to do, add to do, to do's. So let's say filter to do's, const filtered to do's equals to computed. Are we importing it already? No, we did not. So let's import this bad boy. Computed Then we pass it here. Not that one. Then here we're going to return. So what are we returning, fellas? To do's dot value dot filter. Then we get to do. So we only return to do dot. So if to do dot done is equal to false. So I think this is what we need, fellas. I'm not sure. Let's test that out. So if we come here, so if instead of doing this, wait a minute. So let's do filtered to do's. Oh, cool. And okay. So if we do hide completed, sure. Oh, I know. I see what's happening here. So what we can do, we could do hide completed dot value. So if the value is so hide completed to do dot done. So okay. All we have to do is to switch this. So hide completed, show all. So yeah, I don't think I want to do that. So that's just going to like toggle between two states, but we want to be able to see all. So what I can do here, filtered. So we want only the we want the one that has false. Okay, so this is what we want here. Okay, so now what we can do is v4 filter to do's. I don't want to really have to do this twice. I don't want to do that twice, really. What should I do? I have a couple of ways I want to solve this in my head, but let's see. To do to list equals to, so a couple of ways to do this. So if hide completed dot value, then we show the filter to do's. Hey, go away. Filter to do's, or we just show the to do's. So we use the to do to list, right? And let's see. This is just me. So to do's to list. Let's see, to do's to list. Where's the bad boy? To do's to list. So here is false. We do this show all, but of course, this is not going to trigger anything because it's not computed. So what we can do is to make this a computed property and say computed, and here. So it's really fun taking all this stuff again. All right, so you get to test stuff. Wait a minute. This should be, wait a minute, function return. This should return. Wait a minute, what am I doing? Return hide to the values, Twitter to do's. What is he complaining about? Computed. Did I write this correctly? Wait a minute, guys. Let me see. Return hide completed dot value. Okay. Hide completed dot value. So if hide completed dot value is true, first of all, let me just return this for sanity check. Oh, to do's dot value. Okay, good. So I see what's happening there. So here, if high completed was 2, it's true, then we're going to also filtered to do's dot value, or we show to do's dot value. Okay, so let's see. that's the stuff. Okay, so I hope that's understandable. So first of all, we filter the to dos, so we only get the ones that have that are not done. So when we click on show all, we get to see both the ones that are not done and the one that are done together. Okay, so that's what happens. So the filtered one gives us the to dos that we have not done. Okay, or we just call it, new undone to dos, whatever you want to call it. But let's leave it as filter to dos. And then we using this hide completed value, right? So we have, like, I made a new to dos to list computed. So we will just toggling the to dos to show depending on the hide completed states. Savvy? So if we click on this now, so everything is completed. So if I add a new one, you get to only see that. We could show all, you get to see everything again. Is that good? So this is a good question. So for me, right, and for the push of the Vue ecosystem, and for even for docs, it is recommended to learn the composition API. The options API, you can easily pick it up. Really, like if you just go through the docs, you can literally easily pick it up. But for modern Vue 3 code base, you would normally just use composition APIs. Okay, so if you even toggle this, let's toggle this, and you could see, like, you see how it changed. And let's compare. So with the options API, everything is an option. So your computed property, you're going to put it here. Your methods, you're going to have like so everything just have their blocks. All right, so they are just separated with that consent. So all your methods will be under methods. Then all your computed property is going to be here. But with the composition API, all you have to do is to have everything is like your script set up. Just define regular functions and objects without this block, this constraint. This is why it's really good. So if you toggle this now, you could see how this one reads more easily, like just functions and code instead of everything being separated. Okay? Yeah, so this, like I said, options API was the very first API we had. But going forward, if you're starting a new project, you should always use the composition API. Options API are also easy to pick up if you really want. They are fairly easy to pick up. Okay, so what do we have? So we are an 8. I'm not sure we're going to finish this, but I think we've gotten a great deal into it, a lot, that it has been really fun. Should we do like a continuation on next stream? Or I'm sure that you all can take it. So I think we should do a continuation of next stream. What do you think? Right? So you all decide. On next Thursday stream, do you want me to start with where we stopped, which is 8? I'm just going to bookmark it, and then we'll continue from the step 8. Or you all could go ahead and just finish it up. Which one will it be? Let me know in the chat. Okay. So yeah, that is it for today. Well, like we have for 3 more minutes. This has been really fun. Just like I didn't take this before, so that I can just give you like the fresh eyes of just seeing it. Okay, so we're going to start from step 8. So step 9, you all should remind me on next stream. I'm going to add that to my list, but you should remind me again. Thank you all for coming. So we did take the interactive schedule, so we're just gonna make a marker to continue from the next. Okay, let's finish together. Good. So we're going to start from 9 on next stream. Remember, go start the Boring JavaScript Stack project. If you have not, just go to salescast.com/boring and you get the idea. So thank you, everyone. I enjoyed this, really playing with you. You could see how easy Vue was for us to do interpolation, conditional rendering, event handler, even attribute binding. It's just that easy. So until next stream, you all stay safe, okay?